She went back to her ex and got pregnant. If this has ever happened to you, or you don't want it to happen, keep watching. We're going to start off this year with a very detailed case study. This is from one of my clients who shares exactly what happened in his previous relationship so that all of you watching can learn from his mistakes. Let this be a lesson for all of you. Leading with your lust, turning a blind eye to red flags, and not discussing values at the beginning can lead to a relationship turning out that way. So we're going to go right back to the beginning and see where he went wrong, how a relationship like this actually came about, so that you can make certain that this does not happen to you. With that said, for all of you who are new this year, welcome to Relearning Relationships. My name is Christian. I teach men to master relationships righteously. I recommend that you pull out a drink, coffee, tea, something to eat, because this is going to be a long one. Now, I will protect his identity, so we're going to refer to him as Jimmy, and the girl he's with as Jessica. And this particular subscriber is actually one of my clients who's in my relationship mastery program. For those of you who are serious about learning relationships, courtship, marriage, the right way, God's way, and you want to work with me, then by all means, book a call down below. The links are there in the description. Go to my website, and we'll see if you're eligible to join. Now we've got all the introductions out the way, let's begin the case study. So Jimmy says, I wanted to send you a story I had from 5 years ago, when I was 19 in my last relationship, that you can share with the men on your channel so they don't make the same mistakes I have. As you know, I'm currently in your program and learning a great deal of information thus far. And I'm praying that I can have a follow-up success story in 2023. I'll hold you to that. I'm looking forward to it. My ex's name is blank, but I'll call her Jessica. I met Jessica through a mutual friend who was the girlfriend of one of my best friends at the time. She only lived about 45 minutes from me, but the route involved crossing states, so there was a toll involved. He's in the US. We started talking on Snapchat in June 2018 after I randomly added her from the mutual friends tab and saw a snap she posted with the same mutual female friend. After the initial conversation, we didn't talk again until August of the same year. At that point, we were talking daily and getting to know each other, although not about each other's values, as you teach in your videos. Exactly. And this is what most young men and women are not taught. When you meet someone, hold back. Don't discuss where you stand on marriage, children, chastity, lifestyle, values, culture, heritage, God, politics. Don't talk about it. You want to be mysterious and keep information, right? Later, when you're 6 months in, then you can start discussing things. And that's a big mistake. Because if you find out after a while that you're not compatible, your values are not aligned, you may very well find yourself turning a blind eye to that and staying because of the comfort of having someone in your life. You built the emotional attachment, you've invested, now you don't want to walk away. Whereas from the get-go, if you sit there, have a conversation, have a call, if you meet online, and you get deep into each other's values, you at least have a foothold on where you stand with each other. So there are no surprises later on. So if you spot something or hear any details that don't add up, that go against your values, you can walk away at the beginning with minimal to no emotions invested, which makes it easier to actually walk away. But if you're stuck 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, now you want to talk about serious topics, but you bonded based off of lust, it's not working, is it? Now it's difficult to walk. And that's what most people don't do. That's why modern dating advice is poison. Man or woman watching, you want to stay away from that kind of stuff. Because this is how he wasted his time with this woman. Just listen to that. We were talking daily and getting to know each other, although not about each other's values. So what do you sit there and talk about? Hi, how are you? How's the weather today? What did you eat today? That's superficial. It's meaningless. That doesn't build a relationship righteously. Do you truly have the same values? Are you heading in the same direction? You grow together or you grow apart? What do you want? People are too afraid to ask these questions because we're conditioned to hold back, to be selfish, to be Mr. or Miss Independent. Don't trust the opposite gender, right? This is the stuff that people are being taught today. And it's no surprise to see relationships end up in a mess. But if you lead with your honesty and your integrity, and you open up and share where you stand on important issues in life, you invite others to do the same. And at the very least, if they're hiding something or they don't have the same values, they're going to walk away. Because they're not going to want to be around you. And if you think something's off with them, neither will you. It's a win-win. So that's one of the first things I want to mention here. For all of you young men and women listening, when you meet someone, even before you go on a date, if you have the chance to call them, do so and discuss where they stand on important issues. Family background, sexual history, marriage, do they want children? What do they really want? Where are they heading? If they say, I don't know, I'm not sure, they don't know, they don't have any values. They're going off of their emotions. There's most likely some trauma or some sin or a mix of both, and they have no idea what they're doing in their life. Walk away. Gain clarity. If not, you're never going to build trust. He was talking daily with this girl and they never discussed values. This is what most young couples do. I also want to note that she was a year older than me, so I was 19 and she was 20. Okay. After talking on Snapchat for about a month, we finally went on our first date. So you speak to a girl for a full month and don't gain any clarity on her values. This tells me that you were lusting, that you had very poor standards. Because like attracts like. You don't know what you really want in a woman. Maybe from a place of fantasy, out of loneliness, out of lust, but not out of love. Not out of truth, not out of a foundation to want family and marriage for what it really is. To fulfill your role and to expect the same of her. When a man or a woman is not clear on that, this is what happens. That's how you sit there and talk for a month. I don't teach that and I don't do that. When I meet a woman, I sit there and I call and we discuss everything. And I've cut women off at the beginning because even before the date, you sit there, you ask important questions, you're not on the same page, off you go. Done and dusted. That simple. That's what I recommend you do. It works for me and it works for my clients. It's the best way to protect yourself and her righteously. Because you're not wasting her time or yours. They can't point a finger at you because you were genuine. And that's worth something nowadays because the bar is set so low as it is. But as you can see, they were talking for a month on Snapchat and they didn't gain any clarity on their values. How you start is how you finish. That's how the foundation began. Not really knowing where they stand with each other. How do you think it's going to play out in their relationship? So after 1 month of talking, they finally had their first date, which was a dinner. It was slightly awkward at first. Yeah. You don't really know anything about each other. You're just lusting. It's just fantasy. But then we got comfortable as we got deeper into the conversation. Okay, so you did progress a little bit. Towards the end of the date, I drove us to a view looking over the city. We shared our first kiss. Afterward, we sat in the car and talked, but that's when we started getting sexual. Sex itself didn't happen at that point, but it was still something a couple shouldn't be doing until marriage. Good. After that, we went back to texting until 2 weeks later. Did you not do any calls with her? Video calls when you were away from each other? But when we both had time off from our respective classes due to holiday, I then drove to see her for the day, because you were making an effort. In the days leading up to the holiday, she kept telling me she was excited to see me. And when the day came, we went to a bunch of places together that was near my house and had a great time overall. So her emotions are progressing as they should. She's opening up. She's starting to miss you. She's feeling more excitement. She's bonding with you, at least to some degree. However, if you spend enough time around someone, whether they're good for you or not, you're going to build an emotional attachment. But if you truly do not find each other mutually attractive, and you don't truly share the same values, there's no spark there, then they're never really going to leave a positive emotional imprint. They're never going to impact you or leave a standing impression on you righteously, because it's lacking one of the ingredients. Because if this woman has low self-esteem, is codependent, is needy, there's some form of mental illness, she's not going to bond properly. So her emotions are just coming out simply because she's in close proximity to you, not because she's actually getting to know you. Because remember, you've been talking for a month, a couple of weeks prior, you went on a date. Yeah, she's feeling excited, but does she really know who you are as a man? If you've established your values, she's comfortable with you, she knows who you are, or at least has a sense of who you are, and she's saying that she misses you, she's excited, that's okay. But if this girl does not really know who you are as a man and she's lusting after you, where is that excitement coming from? Is she excited to build a bond with you? Is she excited to genuinely get to know who you are? Or is she just excited because it's a new experience? It's taking her mind off of things. You're better than nothing. You want to pay attention to that. Towards the end of the night, things got lustful again. Still, not actual sex. But right after that, we walked around a park, sat down, where she asked me where things were going with the two of us. Well, yeah, you've been talking for about a month, even though you haven't really got to know each other, which is kind of an issue, but you've built an attachment through lust, through proximity, without discussing values. However, she obviously feels safe enough or connected enough to be serious with you. This is what most women will do. Where is this going? Where is this heading? What are we? I want to be serious with you. I hope you're not seeing anyone else. That's her way of saying, I want to be committed to you. She wants you to bring up the conversation, but she's going to be dropping those hints. And that's when you tell her, tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? Do you want us to be serious? You bring it out of her, and then you confirm and you lead and make that decision. Because if you're not ready, you can then tell her, I'm not prepared to be committed yet. Give me more time. But of course, if you are, then by all means you tell her yes. You have a choice. So she asked where things were going, and that's when I told her I wanted her to be my girl, and she reciprocated. So far, so good. However, no values have been discussed, have they? And here comes the first red flag. As we were walking back to the car, I made a joke about being the jealous type, to which she told me she had a couple of male friends and named them to me. You see, you could have cleared this up A month ago, you have one phone call. Jessica, do you have any male friends? If so, tell me about how that's actually working out. But instead, you don't talk about values. You have BS lustful conversation. You bond over that for a month. You don't go deep into who she is as a woman. It's very surface level, very vain. And what happens? Now you sit down, she asks to be serious with you, you say yes, and what happens? All of a sudden, now you're discovering she's got male friends. Well, you could have cleared that up on day one on a call. But you've learned the lesson the hard way. And I know you're not going to do that mistake again. But for those of you listening, don't wait a month. Get that sorted at the beginning. So there's no surprises later on like this. Because if you have no emotional attachment and you hear that, you can walk away in the first few days. After about a month and a half like that, it's going to be a little bit harder, isn't it? So he jokes about being the jealous type. She has a few male friends. At the time, with me having a lack of relationship experience and knowledge, I took the fact of her telling me the names of the guys as a good sign. Obviously, one male friend, let alone multiple, is a serious red flag. There are always exceptions, but the general rule still applies. As a woman who's feminine and traditional, she should know better than anyone that she should be around good, traditional, like-minded women. That's gonna make her more feminine and ladylike. Being around men is not gonna do that. Because especially if she's attractive, no straight man is gonna be around a woman that he finds attractive, unless he has ulterior motives, or he's weak, or gay. Is that worth it? That's when you have to ask yourself. But the next weekend, she took the bus, came over to my house, and came to visit me and my parents. The meeting went well. We were cuddled up in my room and had sex for the first time. After that, we both brought up how we should wait about a month to have sex again, so we could get to know each other on a deeper level, but we never stood on it. So obviously, you didn't know any better. You were young. You figured that you've gotten to know her enough that it's safe enough to do this. So did she. One thing led to another, and you had sex. However, you've already mentioned one red flag. This could have been cleared up on the first call, as I mentioned. But where there's one red flag, there's usually more. And what is the underlying theme of red flags? Unresolved trauma, right? Or unrepentant sin. Or a mix of both. Because a righteous woman doesn't have red flags. An honorable man, he does not have red flags. You should be spotless, blameless. You should be held to a high standard. So where there's one, there's more. And there is more, as you're all going to see. So each week following up, it consisted of us texting all day, having a 45-minute to 1 hour call after she left work daily, and seeing each other on Sundays and sometimes Thursdays as well. So that seems to be progressing normally. You text throughout the day, you communicate with each other, you remain connected enough, you call, you spend time when you can. That's healthy, that's normal. The reason we couldn't do it more was due to the tolls that I stated earlier. Yeah, so she lives out of state, you have to drive to see her, okay. I should also note that when we had gotten together, I had a job at a car parts store and was laid off shortly after. I was collecting unemployment during the period of the relationship so that I could focus on school. This meant that I wasn't receiving as much money as when I was working. Well, you're young, you've got time to learn and grow and get yourself back on your feet. There's no shame in that. Each week following up. Okay. So yeah, we set pretty good relationship standards at the time with the information you knew, of course. With us alternating when it came to paying for both our meals. Kind of 50-50. Well, at the end of the day, she's not your wife, so she's not entitled to your full provision until she becomes your wife. But obviously as a man, there's nothing wrong with you offering to pay. The question is, does she put her hand in her pocket to pull out her wallet? Does she at least say, let me help, let me at least pay? Does she offer to cook for you or bake or support you in any other way? From time to time, it's okay for the woman to make an effort too. But if she folds her arm and holds back and doesn't give any, that's an entitled woman. That's not a woman that loves or respects you. But even then, some women that settle for you, they will still pay or go 50-50. So it's not the only metric you want to weigh this by. You still need to go deeper into her character to see, is she ready with you for you or for what you can give her? But okay, so you're doing your own thing, you're alternating, you're communicating daily. That's okay. But from here on, I'm going to state the red flags of the relationship so that this story doesn't get too long. They all pretty much started happening around the same time at this point. And this is something you usually see when you do identify one red flag. The other ones start to pop up. It's like if you're a U-boat in World War II and there's a mine, right? That usually means you're in a minefield. You haven't seen the other mines yet, but they're definitely around there, close by, and just a matter before they pop up. Same thing in a relationship. You spot one red flag, now your reticular activated system, your RAS, is set on scanning, playing back conversations, tracking her pattern, her words or actions. You're going to look for an inconsistency or something that didn't make sense or add up. Because where there's one, there's more. And you know what? Seek and ye shall find, right? It is what it is. That's how it happens. One of the red flags I noticed is that whenever we were together, she would take snaps of things we were doing, but never put me in them. She would let it be known that she was with her boyfriend, but never had me or my name in it. But when I would post snaps, I would get her in them and not hide her like she did with me. There was a similar story like this with her post on Instagram. So this tells me that this woman is not that into you physically. Or there's someone else in the background that she doesn't want to see who you are. Because if there are no skeletons in the closet, she's open to you, she's committed to you, and she finds you attractive. She thinks you're an honorable man. She wants to show you off. She's proud to show her family and friends, this is the man I'm with. He's honorable, he's good looking, he's a great man. If you've got a good woman in your life, or at least you think she is, you want to show your friends, your family, the ones close to you, this is my girl. You're proud to have her by your side. Which clearly you were, at least at the time, because as you mentioned, when you would post snaps, you'd include her in them. She's a woman. Feminine women are relationship focused and oriented. They want to build that nest egg. They want to connect with you. They want to bond, right? They want to be intimate with you. Women love that. Healthy, normal, stable women want to bond with their man more than anything. And if she's not, and if she uses social media and she's always posting selfies, but she doesn't want to show you or anyone in this context, because obviously you were both young, you were both on Snapchat showing everybody what you're up to. You're doing it and she's not. That tells me through her actions that she's settled for you. She doesn't think you're all special. She's kind of embarrassed or ashamed because she doesn't want to show you how and there's something else going on in the background. There could be an ex. There could be different men that she's involved with. And if she were to show you, then it would cause issues. If she's leading a double life or hiding things from you. Why would she be so embarrassed? If you're going to be her future husband, the man she spends her life with, why is she so ashamed to present you to the world? She's obviously hiding you. The second red flag is that her parents separated when she was in middle school and she lived with her mum at the time. The thing is, her mum and her would also always get into arguments, so they did not have a great relationship and she would only see her dad once a week. She kept saying how she wanted to move out ASAP, and she said she wanted to try and build some type of relationship with my mum. And I've never met her parents during our relationship. She never even told them she had a boyfriend. Well, in this case, understand, Jimmy, that she's not responsible for the parents she had. She didn't choose to be born into a family where mum and dad didn't love each other, mum and dad split up, and then mum and dad are messed up. All she can choose is how she responds to that. Does that make her become bitter, resentful, and hate and spiteful towards her parents? Does she shut down emotionally and use unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with her pain? Or does she learn from that experience? Does she say to herself, I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to be like mum and dad. I want to find a good man. I want to learn about womanhood to be a presentable wife in the future and do things the right way. I don't want to go through this again. How did she respond to it? Did she heal? Did she grow? Or did she turn out just the same as mum and dad? That's what you want to be looking for. Not everybody grows up in a happy, healthy home where mum and dad love each other. That is God's will. God wants men and women to marry right, love each other, and for the kids to grow up and see that mum and dad are passionate. Mum and dad do crave each other. That is the blueprint. But most people are godless. Most people marry wrong, and as a consequence, screw up their kids. However, that's not an excuse for you to turn out the same way as screwed up parents. You have to be better than that. And just having bad enough parents alone, if you have any integrity, that's enough motivation to push you to do things differently than they did. So that's what you want to look at if a woman comes from a broken home. It's not her fault, but how she responds to that, bad family upbringing is in her hands. She obviously doesn't have a good relationship with her mum. The dad's there once a week. You can still look at other metrics here. Did she have an auntie? Did she have a good grandmother? Maybe one of her best friend's mothers. Was there a stepdad? Was there an uncle, grandfather, any type of father figure as well? Did she relearn how to love and trust later on in life? Because if not, this woman, will have trust issues. She will have issues in communication. Her emotions don't develop properly because she didn't have a healthy development in a childhood, right? She is stuck in a childlike state. And there will definitely be childhood trauma, because that's an adverse reaction to a situation like that. Again, how did she respond to it? Now, she obviously wants to build a relationship with your mum. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. She's involved. She's invested. She wants to learn. There's nothing wrong with that. There are people out there that come from terrible families and they turn out to be the loveliest sweethearts because they know what it's like to have a messed up mum and a screwed up dad. They never want to see that again. And you mentioned here that you never met her parents. There's different reasons for that. Reason number one is, in this situation, she doesn't have a relationship with them. She probably doesn't want to share that many details with her parents because she doesn't have a connection. So why would she tell them about the man she's with? Or the second reason could be, given the fact that she's hidden you on Snapchat and Instagram and doesn't want anyone to see who you are, it goes without saying that why would she bother to tell the ones close to her? She's settled for you. She's unsure of where she stands if it's going to be serious. So why would she bother telling her family, right? And of course, they weren't even aware that she had a boyfriend, so we kind of can see which option it was, right? The latter one. Why would she want them to know? She's not serious with you, really, realistically. She's hiding you to her family. She's hiding you to the world. What does that say about how she feels towards you? So the red flag there is that she's kind of keeping you hidden, not necessarily the relationship with her family. That's not really her fault, but how you are presented in relation to that is. The third red flag was her promiscuous friends. Again, this is something else you can ask a woman when you meet her. Tell me about your friends. Tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are, right? 1 Corinthians 15:33, bad company corrupts good morals, as it says in the Bible. If she's not like them, she's not going to want to be around them. That is the way you weigh out a situation like that. Because if she grew up with those girlfriends, she didn't know any better. If she gets stronger in her values, and she starts to see that those girls are very different to her, what is she going to do? She's going to walk away from them. She's going to separate herself. If she starts to see her girlfriends cheat on men, sleep around, party, drink, do drugs, be degenerate, be a feminist, be godless, if that disgusts her, she's going to walk away. She might try and help them for a little bit, see it doesn't work out, but she'll have no choice but to cut them off or distance herself. If she doesn't do that, and all of her friends are messed up, like, as you mentioned, promiscuous, and she keeps them in her life, but tells you, I'm not like them, look no further than her actions. If she wasn't like them, she wouldn't keep them in her life. Never be fooled by that. And again, this is something that you can figure out at the beginning. Tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about your girlfriends. Do they have men in their lives? What do they want? Where are they heading? Let her talk. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And if she has trash friends, unless the exception is she's very young, doesn't know what she's doing, if she does have trash friends, what does that tell you about her? You want to look, how does she respond to that? How is she distancing herself from them? Does she have a track record of cutting off bad women from her life? Or does she settle and keep bad women in her life? Because then you have to ask yourself, that's a standard for her friends. What standard is she going to have for a man? Can she appreciate you? Does she really respect you? Or did she settle for you? So she's got promiscuous friends, right? Her friends knew about me and what I looked like, and I knew what they looked like, but I never met them. And we're going to get into this now. You're going to see how this comes back. She had a lot more male friends than female friends. And the female friends she had cheated on the men they had at one point or another. And the only friend of hers that I've met was the mutual friend that we had. So that doesn't count, obviously. See, when I'm looking at promiscuous friends, the next thing is you want to look at her sexual history. And the fourth red flag was indeed her sexual history. What a coinkydink, right? Funny how one thing leads to another. She told me that she had 3 boyfriends before me. And in between relationships, she had guys who she would call up and have sex with. That's disgusting. And you said you were, I believe, I scroll up here. You were 19, she was 20. So from her teens through her, early 20s, she'd had sex with at least 3 men, plus different men she'd call up in between. There's no mentioning of the exact number of her body count, but it's definitely over 3. And for a young woman, for any woman, and even any man, that's kind of disgusting. Because there's one thing for her to say, I've been with one guy, maybe two, didn't work out, you learn the lesson and don't do it again. But this is a woman that had men that she called up like she's some type of escort or a prostitute. That's sad. Notice what he says next. This bothered me at the time. Of course it is. But with me being filled with lust and catching feelings, from that being my longest relationship, I let it be. That's how it happens. Same thing, you can ask on a first call. I'd like to learn more about the experiences you've had from your past, your relationships. What did you learn from them? Tell me about the men in your life. How many men have you actually been with? I need to know. If you're going to spend your life with someone, you have every right to know. As do they. So make sure you're clean too, man. Only a woman that is promiscuous is going to close herself off, not tell you. Some girls will eventually tell you when they build a connection, because now they think he's not going to leave, right? Some will give you a wishy-washy, I'm not sure, I can't really remember, it wasn't that serious, right? And some that are far gone will just come out right and say it. But you're always going to be able to figure it out. So she told you 3 men, 3 boyfriends, and guys she'd call up in between. You didn't mention the number here, but it's obviously nothing good. And you could have figured this out early on by asking. But you learned the lesson the hard way. So now the lesson's going to stay. But for those of you listening, learn from his mistakes, as he mentioned. Don't be like Jimmy. He's been kind enough to really share what happened to him. So now you have to understand. This is preventable. Prevention is better than cure. Figure it out as soon as possible so this doesn't happen. See, he said, I even lied to her that I had girls to call up too. But in reality, I didn't. See, this is why fake it till you make it, having the wrong foundation, trying to pretend to be confident is always going to backfire. See, she tells you she's had different men she calls up to sleep with. And you don't say anything about it, you close yourself off. But then you go and say the same, that you had girls to call up when you didn't, because you want to present yourself as cool. Look, I did the same thing as you. You want to tell her it's disgusting and walk away. That's what you do, right? But this is what happens when you're lusting. You're not being genuine. You don't discuss your values. You create a fake image of who you are. You're trying to be someone you're not. And you have all these emotional walls up. Then you start lying, you start pretending. And then you think you can build a relationship with someone from that foundation. It's not going to stand. He said, I made sure to never have any female friends because that would be disrespectful to her. Exactly. There was even a time where she went out with her friends, got tipsy, and walked home with one of her male friends. She did a prank on me where she told me she kissed him, and then she didn't text me until the next day stating that it was a prank. I don't think that was a prank, mate. The fact that she already had guys she'd call up in between boyfriends and the male friends and the girlfriends being promiscuous, I think you can kind of, connect the dots to see the full picture going on here. There you go. You reap what you sow. She chose that life. She surrounded herself with women like that because she's just like them. She's joking about loyalty, right? Making a prank about her male friends. That's not right. I'm telling you right now, if a woman thinks you're handsome, so you got chemistry, compatibility-wise, your lifestyle, belief system, and values are aligned, and she thinks to herself, I'm lucky to have this man, she's not messing up like that. But a woman like this who's damaged, who sells for you, who has issues, doesn't really know what she wants in a man, doesn't really have standards. She takes whatever comes her way. Like attracts like, you're lusting, she's lusting. This is what happens. A good woman is never going to do that to you. For any ladies listening, a good man is never going to do that to you either. You have to be very careful with that. Because when you see people making jokes about integrity, you have to ask yourself what's going on underneath the surface. Because as the old saying goes, there is always truth in jest, right? You've seen that when guys will pick on someone, they'll bully you, they'll make a joke at your expense. You don't laugh at the people that are close to you, your friends, your family, in this case, your romantic partner. You don't mock them. You don't tease them about their character traits. You don't make jokes about loyalty unless it means nothing to you. People treat you how they feel about you. A woman that loves you is not putting herself in any environment or situation where she would potentially lose what you both have. Because she knows you're an honourable man, and as an honourable woman too, she has her values to uphold. But the fact that she thinks it's okay to make a joke about loyalty like that, oh, I kissed my guy friend, doesn't text you back, then later says it's a prank, that tells you that something else happened. And it wasn't a prank. She was telling you the truth in plain sight. The fifth red flag, he said, continuing on, is related to her ex. Remember how I mentioned at the beginning? She went back to her ex and got pregnant. It's wrapping up now, isn't it? When Valentine's Day came around, I couldn't get her too much with my financial status at the time, so I got her a bouquet of flowers, a fancy card that had a tree come out when you opened it, and a box of cookies. I placed them on a bed with rose petals around them shaped like a heart. I bought both of us bagels and brought her up to my room where I surprised her with stuff. That's a very sweet thing, and a woman that loves you will value that. Normal, healthy, happy women that are with a man they love, they just want your presence. They want your time, your affection, and your love. And when they see that you do something sweet like that from the heart, they're going to value it. Only a gold digger, right, a transactional woman, a girl that sells for you, is going to expect more. So what happened with Jessica? She wasn't appreciative and seemed annoyed, which I was confused about at the time. Exactly. You made all that effort, and she wants more. We then went indoor trampolining, which I also paid for, and we had a great time. At the end of the day, I dropped her back home, and the next day we hung out. She apologized to me and said that she was annoyed because she saw that her ex had bought his new girlfriend a bunch of stuff and how I didn't get her as much. And one of her male friends also told her that she was being appreciative. Right there and then, I mean, if it's not enough for you to walk away, that she was being smashed by multiple men in the past, that she'd call up like she's ordering a pizza, her friends are promiscuous, right? She doesn't want to show you off, right? This is like the breaking point. This is when you should have walked away. So you make all this effort on Valentine's Day, right? And then she has the audacity to come out the next day and say that her mood was down because she's more concerned about what her ex was buying for his new girlfriend. That already tells me that you were always a rebound. The ex was always in the background. She had never really healed from him. She obviously had a stronger bond with him, found him more attractive physically and emotionally, and did not let go or heal from that connection. So she was never truly ready to be in a commitment with you and could never give you all of her heart because it was still tied to another man that she wasn't over. Because that's a very disgusting thing for someone to say, especially on Valentine's Day. You don't have much money, you made an effort to be sweet and giving, and that's how she repays you. That's not right at all, by any means. That she saw what the ex bought his new girlfriend and how you didn't get her as much. So she's with you for what you have instead of who you are. That's a woman that does not want you, mate. Yeah, even her male orbiters, one of the simps, one of the male friends, even told her that she was being unappreciative. Yes, she was. But again, you reap what you sow, and you stayed. The longer you stay, it's going to get worse. And the red flags you ignore at the beginning will always become the deal breakers in the end. Sometimes, if you don't ask questions or they're very good at hiding things, the red flags may take a few months to come out. Right? Not necessarily the first few days or first few weeks. But when you do spot them, this is why you want to have your standards locked in. So if they do pop up, you know exactly when it's time to walk away. So, continuing on with the email. He says, not only her last ex, but her previous exes as well were examples she would usually bring up whenever I asked her something about herself, or if she had ever really experienced with something, such as going to a certain state or seeing a movie, and she would sometimes even bring up sexual experiences she had with them. She doesn't respect you. This woman is not right for you at all. This obviously made me very uncomfortable, but I didn't say anything. But I'll come back to the ex thing in a few. The plot thickens, alright? Around March, she went on vacation with her family, and I wouldn't be able to communicate with her too much, but we would FaceTime at night for a little. When she came back, she would have to work a lot, so we wouldn't be able to see each other in person for some time. So we made sure to spend a lot of time together before she left. But when she came back from a trip, she was acting cold to me for some reason, and it concerned me. Yeah, especially if you're not doing anything wrong, you're being kind, you're being respectful. You're courting her, you're making an effort, you're communicating, you're consistent, you're loyal. Your only mistake was that you stayed with her. I mean, if it wasn't obvious enough that she didn't respect you, it's just about to get worse. She started to become short with me in text responses, didn't use emojis, so her pattern is changing. That same weekend, she went to hang out with one of her guy friends. She posted them together at a restaurant. Look, if a woman has a guy friend because she had him from like a family friend, you know, someone she kind of knew back in the day from school, like an acquaintance, there's nothing you can do about that. It's her choice to cut them off. But if you're committed in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, you're getting a taste of what you can expect when you're husband and wife. And if she's willing to spend a one-on-one quality time with another man, walk away, right? If she says, I want to have male friends, say, yeah, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. If you want anything more than that, on your bike. You can be single all you want, but you're not going to have me. You've got to be firm with your standards. A lot of guys don't reject a woman because of lust. And you don't reject a woman to hurt her or punish her, because that's not right. You reject a woman when the moment you know that she's not going to be your wife. So you protect yourself and her from wasting each other's time. She can go on in the future, grow and learn from her mistakes and change and make herself ready for the man that God has in store for her. And you can also prepare for the one that God has for you as well. You don't want to waste more time than necessary. She's going out on a restaurant with a guy friend. Walk away. That's not a woman that respects you. I texted her that it bothered me, but she continued with cold responses. Yeah, because you didn't put your foot down with the Valentine's Day thing. That was enough. That should be enough of a wake-up call to realize she obviously still feels towards her ex, and she actually cares what this guy's doing with another girl, and says that he made more of an effort than I did on Valentine's Day, as if that even matters. That should have been the breaking point, but you stayed. Of course she's going to be cold. At the same time, she had a Snapchat map open, and I saw she was with the guy at his place until 1 to 2 a.m. Remember what she said before? Oh, it's just a prank, ha ha ha, kissing my guy friend. Yeah, I guess she's pranking you that she's at his house till 2 in the morning, right? What do you think they're doing? They're playing cards? They're playing checkers? They're doing some indoor Olympics, if you know what I mean. I knew exactly what was going on, but I didn't want to believe it. I should have ended it there, but then again, I should have walked away from the first red flag now, shouldn't I? Very brave of you to admit that, but obviously you've learnt the lesson. You know, you've had the experience, and emotion with memory is retained forever. So this lesson has solidified and cemented into your mind. So you're never going to forget it. This is going to make you stronger. So I'm glad you did learn it in the end. And also you're a young guy. You're 23, going to be 24 this year. And you're serious about your life. This is what I'm talking about. Things now are going to look up for you. Because you're doing it God's way. The week after, she said she wanted to see me. So I went and we started off the day bowling to where she was acting extremely uninterested. After that, I got annoyed and basically forced her to tell me what was up. To where she told me that she wanted me to force her to see me the week she was working. I was baffled because I assumed that if she wanted to see me that week, she would have brought it up. If a woman loves you, you become her priority. She wants nothing more than to spend time with you because you're her man. And all she wants is your love, your presence, to be close to you. You could be sitting there feeding ducks. You could sit on a bench. You could be having a coffee together. You could be indoors, snuggled on bed, watching a movie. She just wants to be near you because you're her man. That's enough for a woman that's genuine. She'd rather spend time with her guy friend out till 1, 2 in the morning at the guy's place. But she's too busy to see you, the man that she supposedly loves, right? Remember what she asked you? What are we? Where is this going? She didn't really get to know you. See, you didn't ask her about any values, did you, at the beginning? But neither did she. That in of itself is an issue. If she's a serious woman, she's serious about marriage, about courtship, her standards are locked in, she would have been asking you stuff from the get-go. But the fact that she didn't ask you about any values, it's because she didn't have any. Her heart was always with her ex. She wasn't over the guy. And it came out in the end. You were just the guy that she was dating, kind of using, but not a man she was loving. Remember, there's good women and there's bad women. There's good men and there's bad men. But now you can distinguish. Because you're in a relationship mastery. You're learning all this stuff. You're filling in your knowledge gap. And I'm very proud of you because you are making progress. And you actually value your life. Very few men at your age are serious. You're building the right foundation now. So you're on the right track. Keep going. And definitely send me a success story this year. Huh? You better. Continuing on with the email. He said, so yeah, I was baffled because I assumed she wanted to see me that week because she would have brought it up. I didn't want to seem needy and force her when she was busy working. When you lead with your standards, you don't worry about this needy shit because you're being genuine. That's when you want to look at a woman in the eyes, or if you're on a call with her, and just tell her genuinely, listen, stop wasting my time. You tell me now what's going on, or we pull the plug. It's very simple. I'm not here to be disrespected more than you already have. Also, I want to note that she was indeed genuinely working, as she would send me snaps of the kids that she would babysit. And after this talk, we were back to talking like normal. It's still not an excuse. Man, she can be babysitting, she can be working, she can be studying. If this woman loves you, if she is really bonded with you, man, she'll find a window to call you. She'll find a time to see you. Okay? People love to say that they're busy, they don't have any free time, and then they're watching 7 hours of Netflix every day. There's no excuse. People make time for what they value. Look at her actions, not her words. If you're a priority, it's gonna add up. So now you're making excuses for her behavior. She goes out with a guy friend, but she can't make time for you. I want to note really quickly that at the beginning of the relationship, she would always be excited to see me and would even buy me small gifts like chocolate, and I would do the same. It doesn't matter. She's buying you chocolate, but she's staying out till 2 a.m. with a guy friend. She's buying you chocolate and then tells you on Valentine's Day that what her ex is doing for the current girlfriend is better than what you did for her. She's being cold with you. Her friends are promiscuous. She confesses she had guys she would call up and smash like she's ordering a takeout. But she's buying you chocolate though. Yeah, pull out the Bible and tell her, look what it says here, honey. For the price of a prostitute is a loaf of bread. Give her a piece of bread and send her on her way. That's what you do. Get out of my sight. Good riddance. So now you're looking for ways to rationalize why you should hold on to her. Well, she did buy me chocolate at the beginning of the relationship. Yeah, and she threw you away, didn't she? Like the wrapper of the chocolate. But as the relationship carried on, she stopped being as reciprocative as I showed more interest. And that's a deal breaker. You're in a one-sided relationship. It takes two to tango. And she ain't dancing with you. Then who is she dancing with? She told me at one point that she loved her previous ex right when they broke up, and that it takes her a while to fall in love. Yeah, it takes her a while to fall in love when there's an ex in the background. It takes her a while to fall in love when she doesn't think you're all that. But a woman that's ready, willing, and able to date, she's prepared for it, she wants to find a man, she's searching for it, and she sees a guy that she values, her heart's wide open, and it don't take too long. Statistically, 1 to 3 months for a man and a woman to bond. Women might take a little bit longer than a man because they need to protect themselves physically. However, if you have the same values, you're genuine, you open her up, you spend a lot of time calling, a lot of time dating, you can speed up that process genuinely. You don't want to put too much of a time frame on it, right? It happens when it happens. But if it takes long, either you're making mistakes or there's something in her background or her life that's closing off her emotions. Which one is it? I think we all know the answer. Despite this, I told her I loved her when I felt it 4 months into our relationship, to which she denied that the feelings were genuine. Yeah, you've been together for 4 months and she doesn't say she loves you. It doesn't take too long. Month and a half, 2 months, you're serious, you're committed to each other, there's no one in the background. She should feel love for you. A lot of love for you, but she's not feeling it now, is she? Because she was still recovering from her ex. She was young and dumb, didn't know what she was doing. You were sweet enough, you were comfortable, you were better than nothing, and that's how it happened. It doesn't mean you're worthless. It doesn't mean you don't have any value. It just means she couldn't recognize it because she's not the woman that God has for you. But a woman that does love you is going to be intimate with you. She's going to be intoxicated by you. She's going to want to show you off to her friends and family because she wants you. She feels lucky to have you, and it should be mutual, not one-sided. God made marriage as the standard for how a sexual relationship should be between man and woman. It's to protect both of you, to keep both of you committed and enjoy each other's love for the rest of your life. What a blessing. The best gift that God has ever made for men are women, and the best gift he made for women were men. And everybody out there who follows God's will, accepts Christ, and lives righteously is going to find that God does have someone in store for you that you can share a life with, build a family, and enjoy that. That's what he wants because he loves us. That's why biblical manhood, biblical womanhood is so important. Foundation is everything. Relationships without righteousness are dead. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Just because we see a lot of people who marry wrong doesn't mean marriage is bad. Okay? If you give the body what it needs, it's going to be healthy. You can eat junk food all you want, but don't complain when you get sick and unhealthy, right? It's your choice. You're responsible for the quality of woman you choose, as much as the ladies are responsible for the man that they select. This woman here, 4 months in, doesn't say she loves you. It ain't adding up. But your lust blinded you. And a lot of guys do this. They're lustful and they project their own interest level onto the woman. Well, I really, really like her. So if I keep really, really liking her, maybe one day she'll really, really like me back. No, it doesn't work that way. We're getting to the end now. But the next week after we had the talk, I went to go see her in the middle of the week because she wanted to see me. But the night before, she went out with her female friend in some provocative clothing and woke up late the next day, which made me super annoyed. Well, the girlfriends are promiscuous. The girlfriends cheat on their men in their life. Your girl has called up men and fucked in between boyfriends she had. She's dressing provocative. She doesn't respect you. A woman that loves you, her body's for you, not for the world to see. Quite frankly, if she does not do that herself, you're never going to convince her. She doesn't respect God. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't respect herself. And when I picked her up, she had an attitude most of the time. And when I brought up a conversation, when I brought up a topic to talk about, she brought up her ex again, which made her bring up Valentine's Day. And I was livid at that point. You're damn right. Of course you're going to be livid. All she's doing is tossing you around, using you, manipulating you. And she has the audacity to bring up her ex again. So I told her I was driving back home. I dropped her off and left. Good, you walked away, you got your balls back. Hey, there you go. I told my brother about it. And he said to communicate with her because you don't want a woman to go to sleep angry. I wouldn't take that advice. You did nothing wrong here. She's disrespecting you. She knows why you walked away and you didn't want to spend time with her. If there's any shred of respect left for you, she's going to realize what she's doing is wrong, repent, okay, have a change of mind, call you back and say, Jimmy, I'm really sorry for what I've been doing. I really want to work this out. But she didn't, did she? Instead, you're the one who's texting her and you bring up everything in a calm way. And then she has the audacity to say, I need space. Yeah, she needs space to go out partying again with her girlfriends, right? Okay. The whole time of this period, I was anxious because I was afraid to lose her. She had come to my area the same week to visit the mutual female friend and her boyfriend, who was my best friend. I only knew about it because I went to McDonald's to grab food, and I saw them leaving the building as I pulled in. McDonald's. I've not had McDonald's for 7 years. I'm never eating that again. But yeah, that's very strange. Because she's disrespecting you to your face, you walk away. And instead of you waiting for her to contact you and apologize, you go out of your way to try and communicate even more. She's not stupid. She's intelligent. She knows exactly what she's doing. Right? If she can call up men to sleep around with, she can call up you, right? And communicate. But instead, she needs space and she goes off with the girlfriend and the boyfriend, right? Third wheeling. I saw them leaving the building as I pulled in. The two girls ran to the car when my friend stopped and waited. I was conflicted with emotions So I parked up and they left. I was livid, but my brother told me to text her and find out what she wanted from us. Your brother needs to relax. You need to walk away from her until she contacts you. But I texted her asking if she wanted to break up or work things out. She then responded by saying that she just needs a break. So I left her alone again. Well, you already told her, you contacted her before, right? And she said she needed space. Now you're doing it again. She says she needs a break. You didn't give her the space. Give her the space means no contacting on your end until she texts, calls you, or knocks on your door. Then you can reciprocate. Especially how she's been treating you. Man, you could have spent those 2 weeks at the gym, reading your Bible. Obviously, you didn't know Christ then. But working on your business, your studies, being around good, honorable men that are going to uplift you. A week later, I got needy and texted her saying that I want to talk. So you've not 3 strikes. You got 2 lives down, 1 life left. And now it's going to be taken from you as well. I need space. You don't give it to her. I need a break. And now you're coming back a 3rd time. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's time for something new, mate. You got needy and said you wanted to talk. So she said, let's talk the next day. I went to see her. Well, we had sex. Man, she's treating you like trash and you want to be intimate with her. Lust is a demon, huh? There you go. I'm going to be very careful with that. She also told me that during the time we were on a break, she thought that she was single. What does that mean? She's been falling around with other men. So we were basically broken up at that point. That's what you want to get clear. When she says she wants a break, you say, what do you mean by that? Ask questions. Do you want to be single? Are you still committed to me while you take a week off to think about what you need to think about? What's the deal? Because if she confirms there's clarity there, she says it with her voice, or she writes it down on a text, she can't really go back on that without you pointing it out later on. But even then, even if she does do that, she didn't respect you, so this particular woman would have done what she wanted anyways. That's why you need space, you walk away. But you didn't. You kept pushing and pushing and pushing. She doesn't want you, but she's willing to sleep with you when she's emotionally closed off as well and doesn't respect you. This is a woman that doesn't have any integrity. She doesn't value sex as something sacred, special, or passionate. You can see it in her actions. Right now, she's treating you the same way she'd call up those guys to have sex with. Imagine telling your kids that's the mother. Hey kids, your mum used to call up men to fuck. Excuse my French, but that's disgusting. This is why men need to have higher standards for themselves. Let women like that be with a guy that's just as damaged. They deserve each other. As a guy who's serious about family and marriage, choose a woman who has the same values as you. You never have to worry about situations like this. I was heartbroken, fell into depression for a pretty long time, for about a month. During this period, I found out that she went back to her second ex and was talking to him while we were together. After that period of about 2 years, I started to talk to different women to try and rebound from the heartbreak, which led to meaningless sex. Doesn't work out, does it? But you've paid the price in full now. You've learned the lesson the hard way. And it's brave of you to admit that. I also started relying on my unequally yoked friends, started partying and drinking. Bad company corrupts good morals. But that didn't last long. Yeah, so now you're spiraling out of control. I even turned to the red pill for about half a year before I turned to God in August 2021 and repented of all my sins. Well, you're saved by faith in grace alone through Christ. You trust in his finished work and you're saved. Romans 10:10. Confess with thy mouth and believe in thine heart that Jesus Christ is Lord and thou shalt be saved. That's it. Salvation is pretty simple. You don't get yourself into heaven. You never can. I never can. We all fall short of the glory of God. But it's by God's grace and mercy, through what Christ did on the cross, that we have our one-way ticket to heaven. You can't lose salvation. Very simple. But now you can grow in your faith. Now you can start working with God and you take on his righteousness, and now your life's going to change. And you are made a new creature in Christ. Well done on getting saved. He says, all of this stems from me having a huge knowledge gaps about relationships and not having a great relationship with God, not having boundaries and values that I needed to uphold. Now I'm living each day for God, building myself up into a biblical masculine leader for my future wife, and filling in my knowledge gap with Brother Christian's program. I like that. Calling me brother, that's nice. Yeah, he's in my relationship mastery, so it's my 12-part video course with how it's all structured. So again, for anybody interested, as I mentioned at the beginning, book a call on my website to see if you're eligible to join. Fill out the questions and we'll get started. I highly recommend you book a call with him, as the knowledge he gives is unprecedented. I appreciate your kind words. I was able to see a lot of red flags that I didn't notice in the relationship, and how I will have way better with the wife that God has for me in his timing. And this is where it ends. The best of the best. The last thing I heard of my ex is that she has a kid with her ex, but they always have fights. You reap what you sow. She's promiscuous, she's calling up men, she disrespected Jimmy, she wasted years of his life. She didn't turn from her ways, and it took her right back to square one. The ex who she couldn't get away from came right back to him. Now they've had a kid. I'm always thankful to God that I didn't have a kid with that woman, or my life would have been a mess. I'm 23, but turning 24 this 2023, and I hope to come back with a success story for all of you. Until then, Happy New Year to Christian and to those watching this case study. And that's the end of Jimmy's story. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. She settled for him. The intentions were not pure. She ended up going back to the ex and got pregnant. How long do you think that's going to work out for? Let that be a lesson for all of you. Young men and women, when you meet someone, vet their character from the get-go. Assess important questions about their background, their family, their lifestyle and their values the moment you first start talking. Lay your cards out on the table and don't hold anything back. Either way, it's a win-win. It's very black and white. Either they're going to be your future wife or not. And once you gain clarity on that, you walk or stay. For the ladies, it's the same thing. Either he's going to be your future husband or he's not. Protect yourself and ask the right questions. Don't wait 6 months to talk about your values or where you're heading. Get it sorted at the beginning. It's that simple. With that said, 2023 has started, so I pray that you all have a blessed year. I'm looking forward to see how this unfolds for the channel. There's going to be many case studies to come, different content. And for those of you, again, who are interested in learning or joining Relationship Mastery, book a call, especially for the men. It's going to help. With that said, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below of Jimmy's case study. And if you have a similar one, my email's down in the description. Write it out to me and I'll get back to you if you have a similar story or a success story and you believe other men and women can benefit from your experience. And also, any questions, message me privately on Instagram, email, or if you want it to be public, in the comment section here on YouTube. With that said, I would like to thank all of you for this last year, 2022. It's been a blessing. And I always carry all of you in my heart. You're always in my prayers. God bless all of you and your families, and I'll see you all in the next one.